Hello, this is Ashley McHugh from Insurance Newsnet, and I will be the administrator for today's webinar, Why Buying Life Insurance is an Act of Love. Moderating the webinar is Susan Roop, Managing Editor at Insurance Newsnet. Susan has been with INN since 2012, following 13 years with NAIFA, Pennsylvania, as well as a number of years as a newspaper reporter and editor. She will be speaking with two leaders in the industry. Barbara Pietrangelo is a 2023 chair-elect of Life Happens, and Bryon Holz is the 2023 president of the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors. Please ask any questions you have in the questions pane during our discussion, and we'll be sure to get to as many as we can at the end. And with that, I'll turn it over to Susan.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Happy day after Valentine's Day. The industry marks the month of February as Insure Your Love Month, and it's the perfect time to get your prospects to understand why buying life insurance is an act of love. Research shows that the need for life insurance is real. Only about half of American adults own life insurance, yet interest in buying life insurance is high. For many of us, the COVID-19 pandemic brought home the realization that we need to protect our families financially in the event of our death. How do you bridge that gap and turn interest in buying life insurance into action? Our guests today will share their thoughts and ideas, and with a nice sprinkling of some sales tips along the way. Barbara Pietrangelo is the 2023 chair-elect of Life Happens, a nonprofit organization aimed at giving consumers unbiased information to make smart insurance choices. Barbara has been with Prudential in Grand Rapids, Michigan for more than 31 years, and she was president of the MDRT Foundation in 2012. And we also have Bryon Holz, the 2023 president of the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors, NAIFA. He is president of Bryon Holz and Associates in Brandon, Florida. Hello, Barbara.
Hello.
And hello, Bryon.
Hello, Susan, Barbara, Ashley, and all of our friends listening wherever you are. Glad to be here.
Okay, so let's get started. And I would like to know, and we'll start with you, Bryon. How do you celebrate Insure Your Love Month? What do you do?
Well, Susan, we have a very comprehensive social media program where we plan out a month in advance. Each month, we're sure to mix a good combination of facts and data coupled with softer, more fun items. As agents and advisors, I've always approached what we do as striking a balance between the mind and the heart, logic with emotions. And we include the wonderful resources from Life Happens on a regular basis throughout the year. But in February, we're sure to double down on our messaging. We celebrate Insure Your Love Month with the same balance of logic and emotion, with great feedback and results from our clients and prospects. Another thing we've done in our group is sponsor Women's Galentine's Day high tea with one of our product sponsors, focusing on the special needs women have for their financial security. We've dropped off chocolates or flowers at the houses, homes, and offices of female clients, women, especially widows, around this time of year. One of my colleagues sends out business-themed Valentine's cards to his clients. Another, who happens to be Asian, brands herself with the color red and boldly markets herself with the color, starting with such holidays as the Lunar New Year, which is very significant in her market, carrying over to Valentine's Day shortly afterwards. Oh, and one more thing. For some reason, I find myself wearing a lot more red ties.
All right. Barbara, let's go to you. How do you celebrate Insure Your Love Month?
Well, I think Bryon covered a lot of that, but I think one of the best ways also is to have people buy life insurance to really show their loved ones how much they love them. Not just the flowers and candy, but also buying life insurance is a huge way to show how much you love someone.
Okay. So we're going to start out by talking about the need for coverage. And Life Happens and LIMRA conduct the annual Insurance Barometer survey. And in the most recent survey, it was revealed that the pandemic made people more interested in buying coverage. And that's good news for the industry. But we still have more than half of American adults who don't have any life insurance. So what is keeping people from buying life insurance? And I want to know, what are you doing to combat that? So Barbara, let's hear some thoughts from you on that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons why people aren't buying life insurance right now. A lot of it's a lack of educational resources. along with misconceptions around its use and benefits. So if we look at the misconceptions, one big one is a lot of people think life insurance is just for burial. What people don't realize is life insurance can help put a child through college. It can be a down payment on a home. It can help buy a car. It can help support family members after a death, and it can help build generational wealth. So as an industry, we still need to address these misconceptions through consumer and media outreach and let people know all the wonderful benefits life insurance can provide. Life Happens has got some great, they've got a great website, and there's some good information, some calculators, and a lot of great social media posts also.
Okay, and Bryon, same question to you.
Well, as Barbara said, most just don't understand it. They think they have enough through their employer or think it's wildly expensive. There are many misconceptions about life insurance, like you can only get it with a loan or only need it to pay off a particular debt, such as a mortgage, or perhaps only need it for final expenses. Some even think they can wait to buy it when they're old and most likely to need it. Kind of like waiting until your house is on fire before trying to buy homeowners insurance. But perhaps the greatest barrier is that most just haven't been asked. They haven't had a conversation with an insurance professional.
So how do you overcome this? How do you convince people that they need to buy?
I think the biggest thing is to go back and ask. Like Bryon said, most people aren't asked. It's not something that they rush out and do. There's annual campaigns through Life Happens. There's media coverage, web offerings. In February, we do our Insure Your Love. September's Life Insurance Awareness Month, and I think more and more people are getting familiar with that. But I think Bryon really hit it on the head. The biggest issue is that we don't ask or bring it up to our clients. And as he mentioned earlier, when you actually need life insurance or there's an illness in the family, it's too late at that point. So we really need to get with our clients when they're younger and healthier. But any age can get life insurance. So it's just important to reach out and talk to all our people.
Exactly. Just have that conversation. Ask the question, if something happened to you last night or yesterday, how long could your family go with what you have in your 401k? What would happen to your financial situation? What would happen to your family? Just ask the question and have that conversation and make it a regular part of your conversation with your clients and on social media and other ways with your prospects.
Those are all good. Barbara, you mentioned Life Happens has some resources, and they're available to any agent, and they're also available to consumers. So can we dig a little deeper into what's available and how you can use it?
So you can go to lifehappens.org. There's a lot of great things in there. There's social media posts. There's a Life Happens blog. On February 23rd at 1 o'clock Eastern, they're doing a live Facebook chat. The calculators are wonderful. I think people don't realize how much coverage they really need. So having that conversation with people is important. Like Bryon, one of the questions I asked my client is, close your eyes for just a minute. And if something happened to you or your spouse tonight, would your family be okay? And if you can't answer that question pretty instantly, you probably need to have a chat with a professional to help find out what you need. And so many people just don't have enough coverage or are aware of what to do. Sometimes we think it's so difficult to do, but it really isn't. So there's, like I say, at lifehappens.org, we've got all kinds of resources to work with.
That sounds great. And I really want to give a shout out to the real life stories. I mean,
yeah,
I know.
So the real life stories.
I know two people who were recipients of this award, and I was a judge for it a few years ago, and it was a real eye-opening experience. And, I really think that agents need to take advantage of those stories. What do you think?
So Susan, one of my clients was actually the person that was interviewed for that this year, and she hated life insurance. She thought it was stupid to pay for. She thought it was just a waste of money. And one night the police came to her home in the middle of the night, and her husband was tragically killed in a snowmobile accident. And for something that she hated so much, that's what brought her family together afterwards. She and her kids were able to stay in their home. She didn't have to worry about any type of bills. They could it took them a good 2 years to grieve over the death of her husband. And so insurance bought her that time to do it. And it also allowed that she's going to be okay long term. The kids can go to college. she'll be okay for retirement. And she's one of my biggest advocates right now. There's a great video of her on like the Life Happens website. And it's a tragic story, but at least it's got, a somewhat good ending with it, that they were prepared. Life Happens also does scholarships for kids who lost a parent. And like you said, I think you've judged on those also. But it is so heartbreaking to hear all the stories of kids that their parents died with no insurance and how they had to move out of their home, or mom or dad had to work extra jobs and was barely there for the grieving child, or they couldn't afford to go to college. So the scholarships, we've given away a considerable amount, millions and millions of dollars in scholarships for kids. And it's a great program also through Life Happens.
Mhm. And, I really think storytelling is a great sales tool. And Bryon, I was wondering, what's NAIFA doing to help raise awareness among consumers on the importance of buying life insurance?
Well, Susan, first of all, I just want to say that Life Happens and real life stories are so impactful and such powerful stories. We've used them for years, even before the internet, when they were in print version. One thing I've never read in any of those stories is about a widow or widower who actually had too much life insurance on their spouse. That's one thing I've never read. But oh my gosh, I could talk for hours about all that NAIFA is doing. But first of all, NAIFA, just to remind everyone, it was originally founded in 1890 as the National Association of Life Underwriters. So for over 100 years, we've been supporting our members, doing what they do best, help their clients protect what's most important to them, what they love most, their families. And for years, we've been strong partners with Life Happens, supporting their great mission and works by promoting it to our thousands of members nationwide. Recently, NAIFA made a bold decision to support consumers by instituting the NAIFA Foundation for Financial Security. And its goal is to grow the number of qualified ethical agents and advisors serving the public. The more agents we have, the better our population is served. We all know that the need has increased with the pandemic and the graying of our profession. Now more than ever, we need more professionals sharing that important message. And another key initiative we're collaborating on with LIMRA and LOMA is Help Protect Our Families campaign. This effort helps raise awareness among companies and professionals about the life insurance coverage gap that you shared that really exists in America. A recent LIMRA study showed that 60 million families, as you shared, lack insurance or are underinsured. NAIFA members, as the leading professionals, are natural participants in this campaign, with the American public ultimately the beneficiaries. But what I'm most excited about is NAIFA's new consumer awareness initiative, financialsecurity.org. Now write that down, text it to yourself. That's financialsecurity.org. This is NAIFA's way of reaching out directly to the consumer through various social media channels, the culmination of all that we do, aimed squarely at the consumer. There are tons of client-friendly resources like financial empowerment tools, calculators, webinars, articles, and much more. It basically brings all of our incredible resources together in one place, and even has a way for those who are seeking the help of a professional to find an agent or advisor in their area who follows NAIFA's code of ethics and puts their clients' interests first. Again, the website is financialsecurity.org. You can find it on Facebook under Financial Security or NAIFA for Consumers on Instagram. That's NAIFA, the number 4, Consumers. Follow them, like them, share them, send them. It will make a difference and help you help more families to protect and insure their love.
All right. So let's switch gears a little bit here. We keep hearing the saying that life insurance is sold and not bought. But at the same time, there's this perception out there that buying life insurance is difficult, it's time consuming, you have to get your blood drawn and all of that. So how do you overcome that objection and get people to realize that it's a lot easier to apply and get coverage than what they might think? Barbara, can you give us some ideas?
Of course. I think anything that we're not really familiar with doesn't have that easy button. And so people think life insurance is costly, and it really isn't. Someone who's young, a 30-year-old could get a $250,000 policy for possibly as low as $13 a month. People think it's time consuming, which it is not. I've had clients apply for insurance in 10, 15 minutes. And the underwriting processes, especially after COVID, have gotten so much easier to do. They say it can be hard to understand or confusing. And I laugh because I got some new computer equipment this week, and I'm not a tech person, and I thought it was horribly difficult, and I kept putting it off. And actually somebody was here helping with it, and they got it fixed in a matter of a half hour. And I think with life insurance, using a professional, find someone through NAIFA. I'm proud to say I've been a member of NAIFA for over 30 years. And Life Happens is just celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. But using a professional person to work with, it can make that whole process so much easier. It's what we do every day. And we know how to shop the companies or find out what benefits is permanent insurance or term better for you. There's so many different policies. It can be confusing, but that's why if you use a professional, seriously, we can just have that easy button out for you.
Mhm. Okay, those are some good ideas. Bryon, what about you? What are some ideas you have on this?
I love what Barbara said and agree with every part of it. I wish I had an easy button for a lot of things in my life. Many objections about things like cost, the difficulty of the process and the amount of coverage, they can be easily addressed by just presenting the facts. Term insurance can be extremely reasonable. Applying for life insurance can be done in a few minutes over the phone. Yet, as in any great sales process, it's best to eliminate these objections before they come up. Be prepared. Share these facts in advance. Of course, the harder objections may come from a place where they just don't understand the unfortunate results of losing a loved one. Early on in my career, I learned that it's not just the products and services we offer, but the comfort and security of knowing that our loved ones will be taken care of. For example, I might share, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I've found in my many years of helping families like yours that the only ones who really need life insurance are the ones who love and care for their families. I know that you do. And that's why I want to make it as easy as possible to help you do just that. And by a general rule of thumb for young families, by the way, it's to ensure both spouses with equal amounts of coverage, even if one doesn't work outside the home, so that in the unfortunate event that one passes, the surviving spouse can focus solely on the family and not worrying about having sufficient income. It becomes very clear that the only ones who need life insurance are the ones who love someone whose passing away would create a financial or emotional hardship.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm going to inject a little personal story here. When my dad passed away, which was 13 years ago, he had quite a bit of life insurance in force, and he was 90 years old. I mean, his kids were grown, his spouse was dead. Why did he need all that life insurance, you might ask? But I will tell you that it costs money to settle an estate. And just because you inherit a house today doesn't mean you're going to liquidate it tomorrow. And having that pot of money to take care of all the expenses above and beyond the funeral, but things like getting a house ready to sell, making sure the taxes are paid, you know, all of that. It was really nice to know that my sister and I did not have to dip into our own resources to take care of all of these things, that we had money that was available to us rather quickly that we could use to take care of all of the things involved in settling that estate. And
Liquidity.
right, that's the word. That's the
Cash is
word.
king, cat or queen.
That's it. So let's share some ideas on what the individual agent or advisor can do to raise awareness of the importance of life insurance to those in their own communities. I'd like to know what you're doing to get the word out. And Barbara, we'll start with you.
Sure. So it's a matter of doing it from a couple different ways. One is chatting with the clients as often as I can see them. I'll do small dinner seminars with my clients on life insurance because there's so many benefits it has that people aren't aware of. With so many people having 401ks right now, when they go to retire, literally 30 to 50% of that money is going to be eaten up in taxes. So them having $1 million is not $1 million. It's really maybe $600,000 if they're lucky. Life insurance can, for pennies on the dollars, pay those taxes. If you're single, and especially women tend to be single as they get older, life insurance has a lot of great living benefits to it that can help pay for care as they get older. The policies today will let you use the death benefit as cash, where you can hire someone to come into your house so you don't have to go into a nursing home, or usually assisted living is private pay. So there's so many great benefits on life insurance that you can use that people really aren't aware of.
Okay, and Bryon, what are you doing to get the word out in your community?
Well, first, I think it's important to recognize exactly what your community is. If you live in a major city like Chicago or Dallas or LA, or even in a medium-sized city like I do in Tampa Bay, start where you can make a difference. Don't just start with your natural market, but your natural community. As they say, think globally, but act locally. The same here. Get involved with groups, nonprofits, and other professional associations where you can make an impact, where you can make a difference. I found the greatest way to share our message is to show that you care. Be visible. Don't try and sell. Let the powerful messages from Life Happens, financialsecurity.org, and others flow throughout your social media, your newsletters, and other communications, and attract them to you. It's been said that consumers no longer go to the phone book or even necessarily to a Google search for help on things like insurance or investments. They tend to go with who they're familiar with or aware of. And using campaigns like Insure Your Love and others really go a long way to priming the pump for these relationships. And I've been fortunate to have some great press for our work with several nonprofits over the years, including being the recipient of several MDRT Foundation grants. My clients and prospects see this, and it helps us start the conversation or continue it about what we do, protecting and ensuring what's most important to them, their families.
Mm-hmm. Good. And you mentioned social media, Bryon, and I've often been curious as to how much social media does as far as raising awareness in your community. Are you and Barbara finding that it's a good way to reach people?
Oh my gosh, we get more feedback. We get more individuals curious and prospects that turn into actual clients from social media. It's something that has to be deliberate and has to be ongoing. And we've had tremendous results in our community, and actually not just in our immediate geographical community, but throughout the state, throughout the country. How about you, Barbara?
Exactly. And Life Happens has got some amazing social media posts that are available at no charge. Also, we have Life Happens Pro, which is a subscription where they're redoing content all the time. And they've got some lovely pieces that fit all types of different demographics. We've had professional spokespeople over the years. Last year, our spokesperson was bilingual. So that was nice, but we're just trying to reach out in so many different ways, and especially to some of the underserved communities, because they're the ones that can use life insurance just as much as anyone.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I've been a pro subscriber for years. It's awesome. It's amazing. It's wonderful. And I love it. And I don't know if you all know this. I'm sure Barbara knows this, but according to a recent study by Life Happens in LIMRA, this is incredible. 53% of consumers turn to social media for financial information, but more strikingly, over double what it was just 3 years ago. That's significant. And you need to be a trusted, continuous source for your clients and prospects.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And, we've also published some articles here at Insurance Newsnet based on some LIMRA research and some other research that says that people will they'll go online to research life insurance, but when the time comes that they're really serious about making that buying decision, they still want to talk to an agent. And I find that interesting. Are the two of you finding that's true?
Yeah, I think one of the quotes I love is that people buy with their heart, but they justify it with their head. So I think what they do want to do is they'll see that there is a need, or they'll see a death in the family, or I found, especially with younger clients, someone in their friend group will have a death in the family, and all of a sudden it hits home with them. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they start looking at what coverage they have, and one of the biggest questions then is, well, gosh, did they have insurance? Did they have enough insurance? So I think, as Bryon said, you've got to stay visible with things and be out there and be aware for people so that you can be of service.
Mm-hmm. And Bryon, are you finding people are researching online and then coming to you?
They are, and I can tell by the questions they ask, right? The things that they kind of know or think they know, but may not know for sure. So absolutely. And I find it's a great opportunity to help educate them and better educate them and create a wholeness in their awareness that they may not have prior to our discussion. But, it's kind of like the old saying that having knowledge, having some water, for example, doesn't quench your thirst. You have to pick up that water. You have to drink it. in order for that action to be taken and to actually receive the benefits. So it's our goal as professionals to help them take that action, not to do something with the knowledge and put it into effect.
Okay, so let's, we've talked about selling, we've been kind of interspersing this discussion with some information on selling, but I'd like to kind of drill down a little bit, and I'd like both of you to share 2 or 3 of your best sales tips with our audience. And Bryon, we'll start with you.
Oh my gosh, I love this is the best part, sharing best practices and sales ideas. Anywhere I go, any meeting, I always try and pick up a few and share a few. So it's my pleasure. First of all, anyone who knows me knows that I have a brand. I'm the advisor that rocks. And although I work with a lot of musicians for clients, it's certainly not the majority of my clientele. I found it's important that my clients and prospects can identify with me with something I have a passion for, which happens to be music. Follow me on social media and you'll see that, it's really my brand. It's really my passion. You'll see various support for music-based charities as well. I do that. And Bryon Holz Rocks, it's more than just an attitude or my Twitter handle. It's the way we roll. Ask yourself, what's your brand? Take your passion and leverage it with your practice. Golf? Hand out some ball markers as business cards. Cooking? Post recipes, host cooking or baking classes, or even brand yourself as the financial chef. Perhaps your family heritage. A friend and colleague has a unique, almost counterculture brand, the divorce boss, leveraging her personal experience as a source of empowerment for her women clients and prospects. Lastly, our practice aims to provide sensational client service. What that means is that we use every opportunity we can to engage as many senses as possible in our client interactions. Studies repeatedly show that the more senses you engage, the stronger your message is and the better received it is over time. Especially in days like these, it's really difficult to cut through all the messages that we receive. And the more senses you include, the better it becomes and the stronger it becomes. It can be as simple as including a stick of gum in your client's family's birthday cards, to sponsoring annual client ice cream socials to celebrate our firm's birthday. And we're always sure to invite all of our clients' extended family members. The more, the merrier. Those are just 2 things that we use in our practice. How about you, Barbara?
So we do a couple things. I think one of the things you mentioned that I can't stress enough is great customer service. Call your clients back promptly. We do handwritten birthday cards. We always include a little poem or something in it. And I'm surprised at how many people actually keep those on the refrigerator or say thank you for those. We also do holiday cards, and the holiday cards we do is usually Valentine's Day, which we just sent out a Valentine's Day card with a picture of our staff. And we actually had a couple people call in to make sure they knew who was who, especially if they had talked to them several times but didn't know them. We do a 4th of July card, because usually in the middle of the summer, that's when hopefully the weather across the country is good and people are out and about. And it often can be a not as busy time of the year. So the 4th of July card hopefully keeps us front and center in it. And then in August every year, we do a client event. We get generally between 250 and 300 people. And like Bryon said, we ask clients to bring guests or their children. We try to also meet clients' kids, because eventually we're all going to need some type of help or something's going to happen to us. So we are working with 3 and 4 generations of some of our clients already. We also do a Thanksgiving card for our clients. It's a nice way to say thank you. And then we still do Christmas cards for some of the people we're real close to. But at Thanksgiving, you're kind of catching them early. But staying up with your clients' kids is also a really important idea too.
Yeah, definitely. Get that next generation involved.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Was there anything else that you wanted to mention that you think would be great for our audience to hear?
I would just say, check out the websites for NAIFA and for Life Happens. We've got the real life stories. If you have a great story, please feel free to submit it or send that in. And then again, Life Happens does have the scholarships for the kids, and that can all be found at lifehappens.org.
Okay. All right. Bryon, is there anything else you would like to add before we go into questions from the audience?
I think it's just important to keep in mind as professionals that circumstances change and you never know what's going on. So it's important to have that conversation, that continuing conversation with your clients. They may have lost a loved one in the past year. Some significant change may have affected their perception and their desire to have that conversation about life insurance. So see what's going on, listen more than you speak. That's one of my greatest challenges as an advisor, right? We have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Allow them to share what's going on and then use that to better serve them and meet their needs, which many times includes insuring your love, life insurance.
All right. So I think this would be a great time for us to turn to Ashley and have her share any questions we received from our audience.
All right, we just have a couple of questions here, but could you share some ideas for something that I could send to clients or prospects that would break the ice on the conversation?
Sure. I would say the Life Happens website's got some great social media pieces, and they've got a lot of good one-liners and just real quick, brief things that you could share by email that would hopefully get a conversation going on life insurance.
I would agree with that. I use that all the time. There are resources there. Also, some of my product sponsors have some wonderful tools. For example, I believe it's Franklin Templeton, not to speak about any particular company, has a great financial records guide that talks about all the different parts of putting together your estate plan and will and documents and things like that. We have a one piece through my firm also that talks about the documents that you need for estate planning. And I don't practice, obviously law in my firm, but it's things that get them thinking about the need to have a plan, a holistic plan put together. So using those tools helps show that we're not just out to sell life insurance, but certainly all these tools are an important part of making sure that their families are protected.
Excellent. We have one more question. As far as prospect communications are concerned, what do you find to be more successful? Email, snail mail, texting, or something else?
How about all of the above, Ashley? They say it takes about 7 to 10 follow-ups for someone to actually do business with us. So just calling once doesn't mean anything will happen. And I always say, unless it's a hard no, sometimes no means not right now. So a lot of times you do have to follow up, again, 7 to 12 times to actually do business with someone. So all those ways are great ways to connect with people. It's not just one way, but I think Bryon will agree. It's the phone call, it's the email, it's a text if it's appropriate, it's a letter, it's inviting them to some type of either client social event or a seminar. And eventually, unless they tell you no, almost everyone needs life insurance. It's just a not now.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, I agree with Barb. The answer is, which one to use? The answer is yes, all of them. One thing that we've always done and never slowed down is use snail mail, US mail. We pride ourselves in using real commemorative stamps. So if they get something in the mail from us, it's something that's going to stand out. I don't know if everyone knows this, but there are some really cool looking stamps that come out and they're the same price as the regular stamps, right?
Yeah.
We've never used a postal machine. There have been 3D stamps. There have been heat sensitive stamps. There have been scratch and sniff stamps, believe it or not. So when folks get mail from Bryon, Holz and Associates, they get something special. They get something fun, eye-popping. They know it's from us. But we also use email. We use social media, the phone, and again, texting if appropriate. The answer is you've got to use everything, every tool in your toolbox to reach out to clients because they're all different and it takes 10 to 20 times. If you're not reaching out and touching them, they're going to forget about you and someone else will, or unfortunately, in the worst case, they may not do anything. That's the worst thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Bryon said it, and with the stamps, I totally agree. They've got happy birthday stamps. They have thank you stamps. There's stamps for every holiday. So that's huge. We also use a little calendar. It's just got our business card on it. It's about, this big, but I can't tell you how many people keep those on the refrigerator. They keep them on their file cabinet. And as silly as they are, we'll sometimes even get calls from people that want more, but that way your number's front and center. If someone's at their house or office, there's your business card sitting out also. And we do use an appropriate holiday stamp for that also, Bryon.
But I like the idea about the stamps because I know I get so much mail here at my house. And if something has an actual stamp on it, To me,
Mhm.
that tells me it's not junk mail and it's something I should open and look at. So
Yeah.
that really breaks the ice right there. And Bryon, I know that we've talked in the past, you actually mailed out tea bags to your clients at one point.
Yes, it was the financial crisis in 2008 when that happened. We sent out tea bags to our clients after the big crash as a reminder to them to pause, reflect, and remain calm. It was calm chamomile tea. And so, of course, along with information about why it pays to stay in the market and don't make, rush decisions or rash decisions about what to do. We had great response. Again, it's engaging as many senses as possible. That's just one example. There's so many. That's a whole nother webinar, though.
Yeah, and a good advisor, they do bring calm to your life. I always
Mhm.
say to the person I work with, you've talked me down off the ledge many times. So I'm grateful for that. I always
Yeah,
feel a
it's
whole
not.
lot better after I've talked to them.
It's not a question of if, but when the markets go sideways, right? It's not a question of if we're going to have challenges, but when. And any good advisor will be prepared for that, not just with the markets, of course, but with insurance and things that happen in the family. If you don't have a set of resources available for clients when they're in different sets of crises, whether it's the loss of a loved one, and of course, we have emails about that to send out, or getting married, good things that happen in their lives. Having a child, being prepared to have that conversation and how it leads to help them first. Again, help the client first. It'll lead to sales. It'll lead to business. I found that to be early on, that the more I focus on the client and their situation, their needs, will be taken care of, right? We're very blessed to be in such a profession where we're compensated based on how much we help our clients. It's a win-win-win. And that's why I love helping my clients ensure their love.
Mhm. Sounds good. Barbara, do you have any final words? I'll let you have the last word on this.
Oh, no, I think I just want to say what Bryon said is exact. It's that customer service and serving our clients. Because by helping others, that's how we're going to grow our businesses and really do a good job for our clients. So thank you for having us today.
Thank you. I'm going to thank Bryon and Barbara so much for educating us about why it's so important for people to insure their love and really inspire our audience to get out there and help as many people as they can. So I think at this point, Ashley, it's time we close the webinar.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us today. You will be receiving an email with the recording of this webinar, as well as a link to sign up for the next webinar in this series, which will be on women in retirement on March 8th. Everyone have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks.
Everybody,
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you.
Be well.